Thanks for joining us from the Ohio AgNet Voice You Know with the News You Trust studio, sponsored by the Family Forest Carbon Program, where we help family forest owners get paid to improve the health of their woods. As smoky days become more common in agricultural regions, an important question arises. How is wildfire smoke affecting crop productivity? Crops depend on abundant sunlight to drive photosynthesis and achieve high yields, and a reduction in solar radiation, especially during the critical grain filling period, can be harmful. The relationship between wildfire smoke and crop growth is complex, with both positive and negative effects on photosynthesis. Three key factors play a role in how smoke influences photosynthesis: diminished light intensity and greater light diffusion, elevated ozone concentrations. Now, reduced sunlight intensity, much like a hazy cloud cover, smoke reflects a portion of incoming sunlight, reducing the amount of light available to plants. Because plants depend on sunlight to carry out photosynthesis, any reduction in light is potentially detrimental to crop productivity. With increased sunlight diffusion, wildfire smoke can significantly increase the diffuse fraction of photosynthetically active radiation, which can benefit plants by increasing light use efficiency and the availability of light to lower canopy leaves. And ground level ozone is a damaging air pollutant that is harmful to human health and plant growth. Elevated ozone levels have the potential to significantly reduce crop yields. Dicot species, such as soybeans, are generally thought to be more susceptible to yield reduction than monocot species, such as corn, although research has shown that corn and soybeans are both susceptible to yield loss from ozone pollution in 2015. The risk of yield loss and reduced stock health from wildfire smoke is likely greater when smoke imposes an additional stress upon a crop that is already experiencing the effect other stresses like disease or drought stress, said Mark Jensky, Pioneer Agronomy Manager. Today's weather brought to you by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. Here's the forecast.
The heat will try and break just a little bit today. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin. Let's take a look at that Ohio Ag Weather Update. The heat's going to break because I think there's going to be a little bit more cloud cover trying to come in through your Wednesday. We've been watching a fairly significant weather system come together in areas to our west and northwest, coming out of the upper Midwest across Wisconsin and into the Great Lakes region. That's been happening for the past couple of days. Today, a little bit of that moisture wants to try and come south. So I won't rule out showers and thunderstorms over about 70% of Ohio today. Moisture totals likely less than half an inch in most areas, but we'll see. Strong thunderstorms are not likely today. Overnight tonight into tomorrow, action dissipates. I won't rule out some pop-up activity tomorrow midday and afternoon, but it will be, again, later in the day. And the same thing for Friday. We won't rule out scattered showers and thunderstorms through Friday, Saturday, and even into parts of Sunday. So over the next 5 days, I think all of us have a chance to get wet at least once, probably twice. Only a few of us will end up with moisture more often than that. It is definitely a pop-up scenario here. All in, all done. Anywhere from a quarter to 1.5 inches of rain, I think, can fall over Ohio from now through Sunday. Getting into next week, Monday, we have a frontal boundary coming through. Gives us another quarter to 3/4 of an inch there, but behind it, we are dry for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of next week. I think our next chance at moisture shows up late the 5th into the 6th. I'm meteorologist Ryan Martin.
And thanks, Ryan. Mexico is the largest export market for U.S. pork, generating nearly $836 million in sales through April of this year. And while the market is well established for U.S. pork, the U.S. Meat Export Federation staff in Mexico continually search for new markets within the market to develop new channels, such as convenience snacks, with demand driven by increasingly busy lifestyles. The U.S. Meat Export Federation staff in Mexico have worked alongside processors and convenience store chains to develop new snack items featuring U.S. pork designed to be consumed at sporting events, music festivals, and even on flights. The development and promotion of the new products was supported by the USDA, the National Pork Board, and state soybean checkoff programs. Oil futures extended losses Tuesday morning after Israel agreed to U.S. President Trump's ceasefire proposal. Oil prices plunged after Iran's largely performative strike on a U.S. base in Qatar Monday, which reportedly came with a 2-hour notice, alleviating escalating fears. The New York MEX traded WTI for August dropped $2.72 a barrel. The ICE Brent for August delivery fell $2.83 a barrel. The U.S. dollar index softened by 0.410 points, bringing it to 97.6. U.S. President Trump on Monday said that the Iranian strike on the U.S. base in Qatar does not call for a military response, and shortly after announced that Israel and Iran have reached a ceasefire agreement, obliterating the geopolitical risk premium that has propelled oil prices to 5-month high over the past 2 weeks. On Tuesday, Israel confirmed the ceasefire, but launched strikes on Tehran in response to an alleged violation of the agreement. Analysts were expecting a limited and largely symbolic strike, given Israel Prime Minister's statement on Tuesday that Israel had achieved its primary war target. Back with more after this.
Get the equipment and trucks you need at the Ritchie Brothers' next Great Lakes Regional event on June 26th and 27th. This absolute unreserved auction will feature online bidding, and items are located in Columbus, Chicago, and Detroit. Choose from over 2,000 items, including a wide selection of construction equipment, truck, tractors, and more. Don't miss Ritchie Brothers' Great Lakes Regional event on June 26th and 27th. For more details, visit rbauction.com. Again, that's rbauction.com.
Think biodiesel is just another fuel? Think again. Biodiesel is Ohio innovation on the move. Clean, green, and built to keep diesel engines running strong. It's an engine booster, a soybean supporter, and an environmental champion all in one. Every gallon reduces emissions, strengthens Ohio farms, and powers your ride. Drive with purpose. Choose biodiesel. Learn how at soyohio.org. Here's some Ohio dairy facts. Did you know Ohio is home to about 1,350 dairy farms? The average herd size is about 185 cows per farm. Ohio ranks 12th in milk production, and it looks like Ohio ranks nationally number 1 in Swiss cheese production, number 3 in hard ice cream production, 5th in the country in total number of dairy manufacturing plants, 9th in all cheese production, 11th in the number of dairy cows, and again 12th in total milk production. Ohio's dairy industry economic impact has, from the dairy products, $33.6 billion, which generates 129,600 jobs for Ohioans. And nationally, the dairy industry creates more than 3 million U.S. jobs and has an overall economic impact of $779 billion. Today's market analysis is brought to you by the Louis Dreyfus Company. Excited to be building the newest state-of-the-art soybean crush facility in Upper Sandusky, Ohio. For marketing information on your beans to LDC, call 574-566-2113. Here's Ryan Martin.
Grain markets finished the Tuesday session mostly lower. Now, old crop corn futures tried to hold steady or at least limit losses through a large part of the day. Main reason for the corn market's move like that was tightening cash corn supplies. New crop corn futures sunk in with the prospect of a record large U.S. corn crop. Some are floating a number of 16 billion bushels. We're starting to get more trade guesses in ahead of the planted acres report that comes out next Monday. And I'm hearing some whispers of 96 million acres across the United States. That would be a bump up from the prospective plantings report. I myself wasn't really a believer in the big number. Actually, I bet another guy that I'd take the unders on 95 million. So we'll see what happens. But if it's a big planted acres number with weather going so far pretty good, the thoughts of a 16 billion bushel crop will continue to be tossed about here and there. Wheat values fell yesterday on pressure from sliding Black Sea wheat prices and a U.S. farmer which is moving wheat harvest right across the scale. Soy oil futures fell yesterday into a large open chart gap on the daily charts. The close yesterday is key because domestic soy oil end users may use the break to extend coverage, but the numbers really have to start to play that out. The Board of Trade had a heavy grain price tone with wheat the downside leader yesterday. We did have a flash reported sale, 630,000 metric tons of corn by Mexico for the 25-26 and 26-27 marketing years. The buying is likely related to the Mexican soft drink industry that secures corn futures to cover its corn fructose needs for the next year or more. That's the way the markets moved yesterday. We'll be back to talk with more here in a bit. I'm Ryan Martin.
And thanks, Ryan. Back with the markets after this.
Here's farmer and businessman James Wood.
We farm about 3,500 acres. There's pipelines everywhere. The contractor working on my property did not have the lines located before he began work, and it resulted on a strike on a natural gas pipeline. Fortunately, no one was hurt, but it could have been much worse.
Never assume the location or depth of underground lines. Always call 811 or visit clickbeforeyoudig.com before you start work. A message from the Pipeline Operators for Ag Safety campaign.
Let's talk about America. Not taxes or tweets or the issues that divide us, but how incredible our country is. Whether you come home to a crowded city street or sleepy small town, everyone deserves to live in a clean, green, and thriving community. We are Keep America Beautiful, the nonprofit working with millions of people like you to end littering, improve recycling, and beautify communities. Learn more at KAB.org. Together, we can do beautiful things.
Today's market's brought to you by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. Overnight at the open, July corn down a penny at $4.15 1/4. December down 1/4 cent, $4.28 3/4. Carried out to next year in March, you're down 1/4 cent at $4.44 1/4 cent. The July beans, $10.49 1/2, up 2 3/4. November new crop up a penny 1/2 at $10.38 1/2, and January up 1 3/4 at $10.53 3/4 cents. July wheat down 2 1/2 at $5.33 1/4 cent. September $5.50 down 2. December $5.73 1/2 cents, down 2 1/4. The cattle were mixed at the close, with June down 70 cents at $221.60. August up 17 at $209.55, and October down 15 cents at $206.95. The July lean hogs, $112.22, down $1.22. August down $2.10 at $110.95, and October $95.47, down $1.40. Feeder cattle, September down 17 cents at $302.45. October $300.65, down 20 cents. And November feeder cattle down 20 cents at $298.20. Let's do a little flashback to 100 years ago, the Agriculture Yearbook of 1925. I've got the copy of that I got in a white elephant gift exchange. As we look to some of the highlights of 100 years ago, Ohio wheat average was 1,598,000 acres. The yield per acre in Ohio was 15 bushels. And let's check out some of the other crops. In Ohio, the corn acreage 100 years ago was 3,707,000, not that much different than what our intentions are for this year. The yield then was 48 bushels per acre. The oat yield was 41.5 bushels the acre. Ohio had barley at 31. Ohio buckwheat, 19.7 bushels per acre. The Ohio apple production was 6,300,000 pounds. Hay, now there were several different categories of hay, but 10,000 acres of hay. The maple trees tapped for sugar, 1,747,000. Tobacco, we don't raise a lot of it, but we used to raise 100 years ago 52,000 acres of tobacco in Ohio. Also, Swiss cheese production was 3,331,000 pounds. In 1925, in the swine arena, the pig safe per litter in spring litters was 6.3. The fall litter averaged 6.0. As we look to today's numbers, we're what? Pushing 14 pigs per litter. Must be doing something right. And we'll wrap up this flashback in time with Ohio sheep and lamb numbers, 2,178,000 head in 1925. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day, everyone. I'm Dale Minyo. This is the Ohio AgNet.